Is Vasyl Lomachenko Gervonta Tank Davis's biggest possible nightmare? It's very interesting in my opinion. This is an absolutely incredible fight, Lomachenko versus Tank Davis, which must 100% happen next for both guys. It's a massive, massive, massive fight to make in this lightweight division, and in my opinion, both of these two are number one and number two in the division. It must happen. It's a massive, massive, massive fight. And, I was originally thinking that Tank might beat Lomachenko, but now I'm sliding towards Lomachenko's way, and I think Lomachenko might get the job done against Tank. I might change my mind closer to the fight, but as of now, I'm going with Loma. I mean, both guys are my favorites in the lightweight division as well. Both of these guys are two of my favorite boxers right now. I like both guys, but I think Loma wins, and I'm going to explain why. And I feel like he could be Tank's worst nightmare, and the only possible guy out of everyone in that lightweight division that could beat Tank. Either way, it's close. And the reason why I'm saying that Loma's Tank's worst possible nightmare is because I believe he's the only guy in the lightweight division that will be able to beat him. That's why I'm saying this. But yeah, overall, I feel like Lomachenko has got better boxing IQ than Tank, 100%. Loma's got absolutely outstanding elite boxing IQ, which, no one can match in my opinion. Literally in the whole of boxing, not many people can match the boxing IQ of Vasyl Lomachenko. Tank has got elite IQ, but it's not at the level of Vasyl Lomachenko though. And no one's boxing IQ is as good as Lomachenko's, even if it is extremely, extremely elite, just like Tank's is. But overall as well, if you look at how both guys start fights, Tank starts very, very slow, doesn't really throw too many punches in those first opening rounds, and you can take a few rounds off of him. We do see that in his fights, Frank Martin, that fight, the Rolly fight, and even more fights. Tank is a slow starter into fights, and he's eventually, gets better round by round and eventually breaks you down. But you look at Lomachenko as well, though. Lomachenko is a pretty slow starter. Lomachenko likes to build his way into a fight, but he's a quicker starter than what Tank is. Lomachenko throws more punches early on than what Tank does early on, even though both guys are slow starters. But Lomachenko is a quicker starter than what Tank is. So if you look at these early rounds, I feel like Loma will be able to pick them up. If you look at like the first 3-4 rounds, Lomachenko will be able to pick them up, in my opinion. And I feel like Lomachenko will be able to, he'll be able to thrive off of that. And once Loma's in a good rhythm of his own, he's kind of unstoppable, to be fair. And you look at Tank, who's a really accurate fighter, he will get the odd bit of success on Lomachenko. But Lomachenko's not always going to be there for the taking, like fighters like Ryan Garcia and Frank Martin were, and Rolly was, and Pitbull at times in their fight. They're not going to always be there for you to hit and be able to get good opportunities on. Lomachenko's so clever, he's going to be out of the way, and he's going to be looking for ways to also be able to try and counter Tank's big shots. So, Lomachenko's good at countering shots, and, Tank's a good solid counter puncher as well. So they both might be looking to counter each other. Tank's going to be able to get the better of Loma at times. Then I feel like mid-rounds, Tank will be able to pick a few of them up because, it might take Loma a bit of time to fully get used to Tank really starting to get into his rhythm. But I feel like Loma will be able to come on strong again late. And because I feel like eventually he'll be able to find out Tank, and he'll be able to set a few traps. You're unable to do a lot of the same things onto Loma. Once Loma sees something, he's able to perfect it, and if Tank's able to force Loma into a mistake, Loma's not going to make that same mistake again. That's the big thing. And Loma's going to be really careful, and I feel like Loma's going to be trying to lure Tank in, trying to force him into throwing and trying to counter him with some good feints, and eventually Loma's going to be able to capitalize on Tank with some good counter shots of his own. It's going to be interesting to see. Loma's timing's really good as well. Tank can be hittable, and I feel like everyone is, of course, but Tank is there. He can be caught at times with some big shots. We have seen it in his fights. Ryan Garcia was able to catch Tank with some good shots. Frank Martin was. Ronnie was. Pitbull was as well. Leo Santa Cruz was. You're able to catch Tank with some big shots. And the way Loma is able to set his shots up, he's going to be able to catch Tank with some big, with some good quick shots, in my opinion. And, Loma's able to get some quick combinations in, which many people can't. I feel like Loma is something that Tank has just not seen before, in my opinion. But again, no, Tank's different for Loma as well. And there's big ways that Tank can win this fight, in my opinion, as well. Tank needs to try and, he needs to try and be rough in this fight, in my opinion. Tank needs to, he needs to time his shots right. And, Tank needs to be clever. But I just feel like Lom is so hard to outsmart. I feel like he's going to be difficult for Tank to deal with. And I feel like, Tank's been able to outsmart everyone he's been in there with. But, I don't think he's going to be able to outsmart Vasyl Lomachenko. And I feel like that's where Tank's going to have his trouble, in my opinion. He's not going to be able to outsmart Lomachenko. He's not going to always be able to get his way. And I feel like Lomachenko could be quite frustrating here. But it's going to be interesting to see. I feel like it's a tough fight to call. But as of now, I'm thinking Lomachenko. I think Loma will be able to start the quicker out of the two. And that's why I feel like Loma's going to be able to confuse Tank, and I feel like you never know. Lomachenko, with the quickness of his shots and how clever he is, I feel like can make Tank, more cautious than we've ever seen him before, in my opinion. That's what I think. It's a really interesting fight. You never know, though. Tank could catch Lomachenko out and, try and break him down to the bottom. But I don't know, overall, Loma's body works good. Just everything Loma does is good. Everything Tank does is good as well. But I feel like Loma's going to have a good, solid plan in order to deal with Tank. Even though both guys are overall fantastic overall boxers. But, skill for skill, I feel like Loma's better than Tank. That's the thing, though. But it's such a difficult fight to predict because, both guys are so good. Both guys are ridiculously elite. It is unbelievable. But it's so hard to predict, to be fair. It's a really hard one to call. But I'd be going with Lomachenko to win. But, both guys have got such a good chance of being able to do it, though. Tank could end up breaking Loma down. He really could. But I don't know. I just trust Loma so much at the moment. I feel like he'd be able to do it. But I might change my mind closer to the fight. But I feel like Loma could be Tank's biggest nightmare because I feel like he's the only possible guy that can actually beat Tank. Other than Loma, I think Tank beats absolutely everyone else in the division. But, people are going to say, oh, but we've seen Loma get beaten many times before and Tank's undefeated. But to be fair, though, I feel like Loma's taking more risks than Tank has. I'm not saying Tank's ducked anyone. I don't think he has at all. I personally think that Tank's resume is very underrated, to be fair. I think Tank's beaten some great names. But I think Loma's taking more risks and has been in there with the bigger, better fighters, in my opinion, than what Tank has. Loma's done it in more weight divisions as well than what Tank has. So, yeah, this is what I think. I think Loma wins. I feel like he could be Tank's biggest nightmare. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, King. I'll speak to you in a bit. Thanks for watching. Peace out.